Good afternoon on what is a cool, grey and cloudy day. It is Wednesday the 30th of November and I've got a nice hot cup of tea. And a parcel to finish unboxing. Now, this is what's inside. And I've been in here 4 previous times, each time pulling out a copy of this magazine, Last Province, the Scottish role-playing magazine, which was published between 1992 and 1993, rounds of 5 issues. So I have got issue 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and finally issue number 5. And this promises Dead Reckoning, a RuneQuest scenario, hacking in the real world, getting the creeps, horrific ideas for GMs, reviews of various role-playing games. And this was, so we've got a full list of what's in here. And then we also, interestingly, we have an advert for Dragon Strike. This is surprisingly, we have an advert from TSR in this magazine, advertising Dragon Strike, which would have been the introduction to Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing for a younger audience, primarily using the medium of video. So you would literally put in a video cassette, play excerpts, which would help teach the game and show how it's played and so on. It was, well, best described as another one of TSR's not entirely successful attempts to really corner the introductory market. But anyway, that's by the by, and worthy of review and unboxing it itself. I can get hold of a copy. So, last word, indeed, the last word in the last word. Marking it's from August, September 1993, and again, verbatim, various items of news, which is always going to be interesting because you look back and go, well, 2 things really. First off, that's how we got our news back in the day, because there was no internet, there was no press releases, only what would come physically appear in magazines and so on, or be announced at conventions. And secondly, this is all the, oh, did this happen? Look at it in hindsight, always a bit interesting. Rite of passage, I've got this news column, sorry, not news, letters column, always a interesting read, again in hindsight, because what were people talking about in the role-playing hobby, in this case 29 years ago, for example. So yeah, it's the other thing, it's building up so like a sense of community, responding to other people's letters and talking about particular issues, whether it's morals and murder, extra-dimensional role-playing games, no politics, frustration good. Oh gosh, no politics, please. Well, there's a complaint you constantly get you here today. Take the politics out of my gaming. Well, no, is my answer to that. And then Pandora's Box, which is the reviews department. I always like the reviews department in any magazine. It's usually sort of like the, obviously because I do reviews, I gravitate towards it, see what they write about. And here we've got reviews of GURPS, GURPS Vampire the Masquerade, which was back at the time when GURPS was adapting, almost other role-playing games as supplements. With a review of Traveller the New Era, which was the new version of Traveller back then that was restarting the setting in a sort of recovery period after a massive civil war across the Third Imperium, leading to the destruction of civilizations, and these are the few places strong that held on technology enough to recover. We have a couple of things from TSR again. We have reviews of the Complete Book of Humanoids. The Complete Book of series are really good books. They were like early splat books, but for different aspects of the game. So Complete Book of Bards or Complete Book of Rangers, that sort of thing. And the Complete Book of Humanoids, I think, was actually pretty decent, from what I remember. The Ivory Triangle scenario for, or setting content for Dark Sun, which is now a big campaign, and to accompany that, reviews of the Complete Gladiator's Handbook, Player Survival Guide review for Over the Edge, which is then new out, Complete Alchemist, Rage of the Racaster, A Dozen and One Adventures, Assassin Monsters. So we've got generic scenarios there, then scenarios for Al Qadim, which was the Middle Eastern Arabic, voyages of Sinbad, Arabian Nights style campaign setting from Dungeons and Dragons, and then following that, review of more GURPS books, including GURPS Arabian Nights, then GURPS Atomic Horror. Great source material in those books, especially GURPS Atomic Horror. It's really fun. The Dragon Mounting campaign setting from TSR. Let's have a look. Empathic sourcebook for Dark Conspiracy. The Africa sourcebook for Rifts. And that's World Book 4. Werewolf Player's Guide book. Just a mixture of different things. We've got Masquerade, which is the live action role-playing supplement for Vampire. Welcome to Sylvan Pines, a scenario for Over the Edge. And then look at freeform games, which are not LARPs, but more, how can I put it, less running around and hitting each other with rubber swords than and casting spells, more social interaction. I did a few of them back in the day, and that doesn't mean I'm casting any shade or anything, or making any comments about LARPing. So before you get exercised about it, and a section on computers, hacking in the real world. So how does that work? Complete with sort of like grainy, grubby artwork. And then we've got rules in here for both GURPS and Storyteller. System, Werewolf Forsaken, Vampire the Masquerade, etc. And then Dark Conspiracy rules. So, set rules you can use. Dead Reckoning. Oh, look, some in the outer fringes of the upper mast. It's an ancient fortified toll bridge. Dead Reckoning by a certain Andrew Cowie. This is one interesting review. This is one interesting scenario which I'll be interested to read and review because of the author. Dr. Cowie is a well-known member of the Grog Squad. So yeah, quite a lengthy RuneQuest review here. Sorry, scenario. I keep saying review. And then we have the handouts with a really quite nice map of the fort, the location. So lots of decent content, and then non-player characters for the campaign. And I think this would have been for RuneQuest 3, but it's RuneQuest. You can easily adapt it to the mechanics of your choice, of course. Most obviously, RuneQuest role-playing Durantha, the character iteration. We have continuing comic strip for the magazine's own comic strip for gamers, advert from Nightfall Games for Slay Industries, and then Getting the Creeps, tips for your game master to add horror to her campaign. Oh, look! Heavy on the Slay Industries, Nightfall Games advertising here. More interesting adverts. I do like looking. I think there is a certain sense of nostalgia looking at the adverts, of course, but it's sort of like to see what games companies were about then and what what stores and so on. Fahrenheit 541 is the book department. And then we have. While we're doing this, essentially a personal debate from Phil Masters, best known for writing GURPS Discworld, about exploring the idea of why we roleplay, and then Hot Lead Cold Days, Steve Jackson on the creation of Hot Lead miniatures, an in-depth look at it. I don't think that it really ever appeared at much planned. And then Revenant, Chivalry and Sorcery article. More adverts, this time for the play-by-mail games from KGC Games, which were quite popular back then. You know, it was a way to continue gaming when you weren't at your gaming group and so on. And then looking at a particular author and role-playing, how to adapt the author's content, Broken Spines. Here it is Gene Wolfe. And then basically advert for the Castellana City Guidebook from a publisher, Disenchanted Games, based in West Yorkshire. Flash in the pan. Another look, continuing to look at the miniatures department. Again, decent illustrations of the miniatures. Before we have the last is sort of like the vignettes, short scenario ideas, and then NPCs. Both of which the game master can adapt to her game as necessary. And then we have the classifieds. Again, sensitive community building here. Unfortunately brought to an end because this is the last issue in the directory of all the stock shops up and down the country, or most of them. Feedback, and then we've got an advert for Hobby Games Miniatures at the end there, and on the back an advert for Castle Falkenstein, then new from Artel Soaring Games. So yeah, that's the Last Province. Probably not a lot of interest really, unless you are deep really kind of interested in the hobby and like collecting magazines, that sort of thing, or you bought them back in the day. Except of course for the RuneQuest scenario. This RuneQuest scenario sort of mostly lost, and I we'll have to see about nudging Dr. Cowie about bringing it back, because it's a possibility. So anyway, this is the Last Province issue number 5, published in September of 1993. Do hope you've enjoyed this unboxing the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings of the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a parcel containing typically a book or game, or in this case a bundle of magazines, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice cup of tea. Then please do click on the like button, click on the subscribe button down below. In the meantime, thanks again for watching another unboxing the Nook. We'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.